Good afternoon, sister and fellow Jayhawks. I want to start first by introducing my husband, Shay Little. Would you stand so they can see? And also by thanking the search committee and the board for their confidence in me as a person to assume the leadership at KU at this important time in its history and this important time in our history. I have to tell you that the signs were not always auspicious for me coming here. I came for 2 interviews. The most recent one was yesterday morning and the other a couple weeks ago. In both instances, those interviews occurred after harrowing travel, during which weather caused so many plane delays and cancellation that in each case I went into the interviews with 3 or 4 hours sleep. For the second interview, which was just yesterday, I left Raleigh-Durham on Thursday afternoon. Supposedly it was going to be 2:30, but the plane was an hour late getting to Charlotte. By the time I got to Charlotte, the plane coming to Kansas City had gone. There was a later flight. However, I was told that they couldn't guarantee me a seat on that later flight. And so I said, no, that won't do. So they said, well, if you're willing to go to Washington, D.C., perhaps we can get you to Kansas. And so we went to Washington, D.C., and then that plane was late leaving for Kansas as well. And so as a result, we arrived here 1 a.m. on Friday morning. And I, in the midst of this, I thought, is there something I'm supposed to learn? But I was determined. Because of the way the search process operates, it's really necessary to make up your mind to make a commitment before you have an invitation. As you just heard, there were interviews Thursday and Friday and a decision Friday afternoon. And it's a little bit difficult to do because you don't know that you have the opportunity. But in the last couple of weeks, I have tried to think about this very seriously. I've talked to friends and colleagues, many of whom who know Kansas University of Kansas very intimately. I've talked with family, I've talked with friends. When I first mentioned this possibility to our son, he said, Kansas? And I said yes. Then he said, oh, they have a good basketball team. That's okay. Yesterday, as I was getting ready to leave and preparing for travel, he said, Mama, are you going to get this job? And I said, Mark, I'm going to get this job. So anyway, fortunately, the regents cooperated with me. And so I'm here this morning. Thank you very much. I still, when I talked with the regent yesterday afternoon and even during the interview, I still had not had an opportunity to really visit the campus or see the town of Lawrence. I was here once many, many, many years ago, and so I had no idea really of what the place was like. I had talked to people some. I have to say I was really not prepared for how beautiful the campus is. It is gorgeous. It's really an outstanding campus, and I'm delighted to be here. Last night when we came back from Topeka, we had a chance to drive around the campus some, and then went to the hotel, and when we decided to go out to dinner, we asked for a recommendation and went to Teller's, and I wore my sunglasses so I wouldn't be recognized. And as soon as I got to the door, the owner came up and said, you're the new chancellor, aren't you? And I said, how do you know that? And he said, well, I got the announcement at 3 o'clock, and I went and Googled you and saw your picture. And in case you don't know it, half of the current and past faculty of the University of Kansas is at Teller's on Friday evening. So while we were waiting for a table, we sat at the bar to wait for a table, And one by one, a large group of people who identify themselves as KU faculty came over and introduced themselves. We were having a party there. It was a celebration before it was over. We have been overwhelmed by the welcome, by the generosity. This morning, early in the morning, we went for a walk by the Kansas River, and there were bikers out there and joggers early in the morning. I think it was about 6:30 or 7. They were stopping. The bikers and the joggers saying, "You are," and I say yes, and they say, "Well, welcome, you're going to like it here." And so I am even more delighted and more convinced than I was yesterday that this is a wonderful place to be and a right place for me to be. So I'm doubly happy to be here. I understand that the University of Kansas is a place with a great tradition, with great strengths, and a real sense of commitment to quality of education. I also know that this is a difficult time economically. It's difficult all over, and that here, as other places, we will need to learn how to do with less, how to make sure that we're doing the things that are most important for the university. I have a great deal yet to learn about KU and to learn about Kansas. I do know, however, that a research university is a complex enterprise, a very complex kind of an organization, but whatever its complexity, its main goals are education and research, and the service that derives from that education and research. Now more than ever, our communities, where there is the local community, state, national, or international community, look to universities for solutions. Solutions to economic development, solutions to problems of health, environment, and solutions to social problems, which may be the most complex of all of these. I can say unequivocally that I'm committed to the university as a place of education, as a place of research, and as a place that helps to solve the problems of our many communities. And it was mentioned earlier that I've identified 2 or 3 things that I certainly want to focus on early on. I know that those ideas will become informed and elaborated as I have an opportunity to work with you. But there is nothing unusual about them. They have to do with education and research and supporting education and research. In particular, with regard to education, and I'm thinking at this point of undergraduate students, when we admit students, we're making a judgment that they can succeed. And I think the process of admission is one in which we want to be deliberative, in which we look at students, at their preparation. We want to enhance the quality of students, the diversity of the campus, and we also want to be successful with students and to provide the kind of programs that lead to their successful completion of degrees. I know also that with regard to research and scholarship, that we need to support and recruit outstanding faculty and make sure that they have the resources to do the work that is needed with regard to education and research. And I look forward to helping develop the resources to attract outstanding students and talented faculty, to enrich KU's quality, its intellectual and human diversity. Thus, as a chancellor, I commit to work with you, to work with other university leaders, the staff, and the board to create the kind of environment that outstanding faculty will work in to educate talented students and create outstanding scholarship and research. Thank you.